Hi, my name is Jerica Anderson, and this is an accessory organ to the digestive system. So throughout this week's material, I kept coming back to this organ, and it just fascinates me. So my favorite accessory organ is the esophagus. So the esophagus is a tube-like structure, and it starts at the pharynx right up here, and it will pass down all the way to the stomach. And it's commonly called the food pipe or the gullet, most likely known as the esophagus nowadays, but it used to be very well known as the food pipe. So in adults, the food pipe can be 8 to 10 inches long and even 1 inch in diameter. So it's not just a hollow tube that food passes through. It actually is lined with muscle. And the most interesting part about this muscle is that food almost passes through the esophagus like a wave-like motion. It will kind of squeeze and let go and squeeze and let go for the food to be able to pass down the esophagus and get into the stomach. This process is called peristalsis. And this isn't the only place that peristalsis occurs. It also occurs called reverse peristalsis, which most of us don't say I'm suffering from reverse peristalsis. We would just say I'm vomiting. And that is the process of food leaving your stomach and coming back up through the esophagus. It's reverse peristalsis here in the stomach, as the food gets, once again, like a wave-like passed through. And peristalsis will even happen if you are standing on your head. It really has nothing to do with gravity. So another thing that the esophagus has is it has two sphincters. One is up here at the top, and that is going to be the upper sphincter. This one is a voluntary sphincter, meaning that the body can control this. We can open and we can close this on demand so that food doesn't pass. It's not, I guess, necessarily something that we all think about every time that we eat, but it is something that the body is able to control. So down here at the bottom, there is a lower esophageal sphincter, and this one is involuntary. Once food comes, it will open up and be able to pass through into the stomach. It is not one that we are able to control and, say that food will get backed up down here at the bottom because we are keeping that sphincter closed. So each sphincter has its own function, and the upper sphincter is to control breathing, swallowing, belching, vomiting, kind of that open and close valve. The lower sphincter's function is to prevent food that's being broken down in the stomach from traveling back up the esophagus again. So if you go to swallow something that is a little bit too large and you can kind of feel it travel down, a lot of people will say, I can feel it traveling down. That is due to the esophagus. So the esophagus is very flexible, and it can push through quite a bit of food. It can't push through everything, and that is, where other processes would come through to be able to help get that food out. But it can deal with quite a bit, and even though it's long, it only takes about 7 seconds for food to pass through the esophagus all the way down to the stomach. Pretty fascinating.